Mary Brandenburg. I live at 380 Cheshire Court. I have lived in Pewaukee for 8 years. I love it here. My property butts up against the Queen of Apostles property. My family and I will be directly impacted by any decision made by the board. Single-family homes would fit perfect in our neighborhood. If this is approved, our quiet community will be disrupted. If this was in your backyard, how would you feel? Remember the golden rule. The plan to tear down the church is vindictive and greedy. Greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. I don't hear anyone who lives in our village speaking up here. We have signed a petition objecting to the proposed development. We met the required percentage. Why are we continuing to discuss this? Board members, in 10 years, do you want to be remembered as someone who protected our village or someone who disrupted the community? Thank you.
Sherry Weber, 463 West Wisconsin Avenue. My husband and I live directly west of the church, the very first house. The thought of seeing that 4-story building every morning out of my kitchen window is absolutely heartbreaking. And the people from Sussex and the other areas that go to Queen of Apostles, do you think it's such a good idea? Put it in your backyard.
Mary Ann Moore, 307 West Wisconsin Avenue. I've lived at that address for 50 years. I love my neighborhood, I love the village, but I still do support Capri's plan for our property. I especially like what they're planning on doing with the cemetery, which is where my husband is buried and where I'll be buried. I may be one of the few to speak, but I do ask you to consider what some of the other people in the village want. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy Hill, 303 Sunset Drive. We're going to start with Capri first. The argument that it would be nice to be able to retire in Pewaukee has been often stated. I've started to collate a list of senior living opportunities in Lake Country. Thus far, I have identified 62 senior living facilities in Lake Country. Of those 62, I have collated the numbers of units for only 21 of those. 21 of those facilities proposed, currently building and existing, provide 2,332 units. There are 18 proposed, approved, and existing facilities within the village and city of Pewaukee. 9 of those facilities provide 811 units. So what is the saturation point? What happens in 20 and 30 years? These numbers do not include apartments and condos, which the village is littered with at 43% of the housing. The village of Pewaukee has the highest percentage of non-owner occupied housing in all of Waukesha County. At 2 different Capri presentations that I attended, it was stated that the facilities would blend in the neighborhood. Some beautiful pictures of home styles such as Cape Cod, Colonial, Victorian, Tudor were shared. When I see the proposed drawings, I see a 4-story box with siding. How does that blend? It's certainly not a luxury building. If anyone would really like to see what a 4-story box looks like, I would suggest you travel to the 4-story facility called Dixon Hollow at the intersection of Pilgrim and Lisbon Roads. This is a busy intersection, well-traveled and flat, and it still it just jumps out at you. After seeing this building, it will be obvious that a 4-story building at this old St. Mary's campus is not going to blend in. So now let's move to 321. Riverside. Thank God the proposal has moved to residential. However, the proposal is for 54 units. The number of existing homes in the entire neighborhood is 57. This will nearly double the number of housing units in the River Hill West neighborhood while only utilizing less than 25% of the area. So basically, both proposals are simply way too dense. It seems developers start at the highest density possible so they look like heroes when some units are eliminated. Don't let them play the density, the mixed use, or the luxury game. These properties are golden opportunities for the village. I believe most people move to Pewaukee because it has that small village on a Great Lake feel. Don't ruin it with high density. Thanks.
Newman, 330 Quinlan Drive. I live there with my wife, 4 children, and several dogs. I've lived there since 2007. I am one of the unfortunate ones who stand to have a retention pond at my back lot, as well as a driveway 10 feet from my house, should it be approved. I have no other option but to stay here because that was my intention, to raise my children. They go to this school here that we're in currently, all 4 of them. Now, I have the risk of having a home soon that will be worth nothing. Far less than what I paid for it for sure, should this development become actuality. Not to mention the fact that the fear of flooding on my property is extremely high if this were to occur. It's already happened once in spring of '08, I've mentioned this before, but my backyard became a swamp. All the water from the top of that hill, from that cemetery right down, flooded my basement because the current retention system wasn't adequate. And actually putting a wet basin in place of that is probably going to make things worse. We've discussed in the past several issues with the worries of flooding, storm sewer water, everything. We've even offered to discuss to Capri our concerns as residents of that area at their initial proposal. They told us they wanted to hear from the residents and make sure it was harmonious. Never once had anybody knocked on my door except to offer to purchase my house to get me out of there. At a tax assessed value, which we all know that's far below fair market values. The tax revenue from a facility like this isn't worth the loss of what we have here in our village. It's not the 30 pieces of silver we need. We need to worry more so about what the residents want and have everything to lose than the people who have nothing to gain but monetary value. Thank you.
I'm Jim Fisher of 130 West Wisconsin Avenue. And perhaps some of you saw a couple of weeks ago a front page article about a development on the east side of Milwaukee called St. Rita's Square. The article was featured as an example of a developer working together with the community. 3 of us from the village drove in for kind of a celebration of being halfway through the project. And what we witnessed was what seemed like a total involvement with the community. Mayor Barrett was there, the alderman was there as part of the celebration and speaking for the project. The next door neighbor, which is a MPS school, was intimately involved in the project, and they're involved actually in the construction. It happens to be a school where kids are encouraged to pick up on trades, and so Capri wisely picked up on that interest And students have been working on projects. The construction firm has been working with them. And I was literally amazed at how a developer like Capri works with the community. And I just have no doubt that as they speak toward being involved with the community, that they will duplicate that same kind of effort here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Dan Ross, N38W26930 Glacier Road, Pewaukee. When Queen of Apostles first came before the Plan Commission, commissioners made it clear that they would only accept another church or single-family residential for this property. Commissioners recognize that this property is completely surrounded by single-family residential and that it is bad planning to pigeonhole a different use in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Good planning ensures consistent uses. What has changed? Nothing, except for self-serving statements by developers that it is not economically feasible to build single-family residential on this property. Why? Single-family residential would not require significant infrastructure improvements, or at least no more than other single-family developments. In fact, because this is a developed neighborhood, infrastructure comes to the lot lines, making development less expensive than many other single-family developments. If the developer's argument is true, it's only true because the cost of the land is too high. If the sales price is right for that use, a single-family development is feasible. Commissioners should not buy this specious economic argument and sacrifice good planning simply because a corporate developer wants them to. The infrastructure information the Plan Commission requested is still very inconclusive. Each report indicates that the results may be very different when actual plans are submitted. R.A. Smith was concerned by that. Even Pinnacle, the developer's engineer, acknowledged that. Each report acknowledges that the plans will change. That is fine when farm fields are being developed because new infrastructure will by definition be needed and therefore can be planned accordingly. But with an infill site such as this, changes can be devastating to existing infrastructure. Capri should be required to submit refined plans to the village's consultants so the village's consultants can analyze actual impacts. Last I sat for a meeting in this very same room, that's what was to be expected. Why are we still waiting, and why are we looking to take action on these matters without plan revisions? R.A. Smith makes a significant point that should not be overlooked. Although the TADI, traffic impact analysis, is likely correct that this will not be a heavy traffic generator, the traffic impact analysis failed to show a realistic projection of development traffic on local streets. The greatest traffic impact will be during the busiest times of day. Considering that the proposed developments would be pigeonholed into an existing neighborhood, the greatest impact will be during the busiest times of day, morning and evenings. This development cannot adequately be analyzed without knowing existing traffic counts on those local streets. R.A. Smith recommended that additional traffic counts be performed in the summer when the bike pack traffic is the greatest. The original analysis was in February. TADI had performed additional traffic counts, but it did so a weekday in late September after kids are already back in school. The commission still does not have realistic bike numbers. It is also worth noting that the traffic counts are not in the packet, meaning staff, commissioners, and the public have not had adequate opportunity to review those counts. It is unreasonable to get that information at the meeting or immediately before. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kathy Matrice, 1150 East Wisconsin Avenue, Village of Pewaukee. What I am about to read here, you may already have heard since I emailed all of you, and I also had it published in the Freeman, but I'd like to say it out loud here. This is a reminder that your responsibilities are to the Village of Pewaukee residents who have graciously voted you into your positions, and that even though Queen of Apostles is a resident of Pewaukee and owns St. Mary's Church, your decisions should be based toward the greater good of the Village of Pewaukee, not toward one property owner. Rezoning of the old St. Mary's Church property should not be changed to accommodate the Capri development. Queen of Apostles' financial problems are not your problems. However, the entire neighborhood surrounding 449 West Wisconsin Avenue is in fact your problem. These people voted you in to make the right decisions for the village as a whole. Rezoning for the possible approving of an invasive multi-story buildings development that is not in harmony with the surrounding neighborhood nor conducive to the sacred grounds of the cemetery should be a big no. No to rezoning, no to Capri. The village of Pewaukee has enough senior housing and enough multi-family housing. More senior housing with lots of empty units is not for our village. Senior facilities with memory care are infiltrating communities everywhere. There's one going up Capri right down Highway K. That's pretty close around here, if you want to stay around here. And many of them, these facilities, I know for a fact, can't even provide what they offer because they don't have the units rented, or they can't even get enough qualified people to work in them. Let's not be a part of this and wind up having an albatross draining our village's resources when those funds are better used elsewhere to maintain what we already have.
Good evening. My name is Robin Kuharski, and my family and I live at 324 High Street in the village of Pewaukee. I am here this evening to once again register my opposition to the rezoning of the property at and adjacent to 449 Wisconsin Avenue and my opposition to the development proposed by Capri Communities. While the decision you're being asked to render this evening seems on its face very complex, in reality it is quite simple. Given the Village of Pewaukee Code of Ordinances, Section 40.152B, basis of approval, that states the Planning Commission shall base their determination on the potential effect of such use on the health, general welfare, safety, and economic impact of the Village of Pewaukee and the immediate neighborhood. Specific consideration shall be given to the proposed conditional uses effect on the movement of traffic, environment, area aesthetics, village services, and precedent of future development. The Planning Commission may deny the conditional use grant request if it concludes, based upon the information submitted, that the proposed use and/or development would likely, 1, materially endanger the public health, general welfare, and safety, or 2, substantially injure the value of adjoining or abutting property, 3, be inharmonious with the area in which it is to be located, 4, will not be in general conformity with the master plan or other officially adopted plans. The proposed community meets 2 of these criteria. It is inharmonious with the area it is to be located and is not in conformity with the village master plan. I also believe that the proposed development has the capability of injuring the value of the surrounding neighborhood and quite possibly is a risk to the general welfare of our community. Further, I implore you not to deviate from the master plan of the village of Pewaukee. When it was created several years ago, it was done so in purposeful, forward-thinking manner to best prepare for the future of this village. Over the past several months, village residents and taxpayers have attended your meetings as well as the village board meetings regarding this proposal. I presume that you have received numerous emails from village residents stating their opposition of this proposed development. Whether you are sitting on this commission as an elected official or as an appointed representative, it is your duty to represent the residents and taxpayers of the village of Pewaukee. The village residents have been quite clear. We do not want Capri Communities in our community. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. I appreciate deeply the work that you do on behalf of our village.
Good evening, I'm Bob Meyer. My address is N26 West 2661 Prospect Avenue. I want to thank the commissioners for allowing me to come before you this evening. I am a future resident of St. Mary's Cemetery. My wife and I both own plots there. I want to be totally honest though, I hope it's some time before I become a permanent resident of St. Mary's Cemetery. I have attended most of the briefings on St. Mary's property. I was very impressed at the initial meeting where we were shown Capri's intention to enhance the cemetery with a beautiful and serene memorial. This memorial includes the steeple, the cross, and the front of St. Mary's Church building, as well as an area for the entire Pewaukee community to use as a place of meditation, relaxation, and peaceful enjoyment. Throughout my life, I have noted a lot of development in the village of Pewaukee and the surrounding area. Very few, if any, have taken the voluntary extra step of including such a beautiful and significant enhancement along with their development. As a senior citizen, I've become keenly aware of what my needs will be when my body no longer supports me as it used to. I have dealt with this situation with my parents, my brother, and my friends. The Capri Senior Complex includes opportunities for my wife and for myself to continue to live in the area that I grew up in. Near the beach where I learned to swim and was a lifeguard, the village streets I've walked so many times. And even though my high school is gone, almost all the stores I frequented as a child are gone. My father's store is gone. I still see the memories as I go through the village. Life continuously changes, and it moves on. I have changed, and I am moving on. We all have changed and will continue to do so. The men and women of Capri have come up with a plan that is beneficial to this community and helps to carry forth the historical significance of St. Mary's Parish and the cemetery. This project is for the future of Pewaukee and is an enhancement for all the residents of Pewaukee. One more item I'd like to share. I am the sexton and caretaker of St. Mary's Cemetery. I have received calls and emails and have been questioned by visitors at the cemetery when I'm there. I want to make it totally clear. The cemetery is not being sold, nor is it being moved. It will never be sold and it will never be moved. Queen of Apostles Parish, or a Catholic parish that may succeed it, will continue to own and maintain this property forever. I want to thank commissioners for their time and ask that you sincerely and thoroughly review and weigh all the information about St. Mary's property when you make your decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Teresa Hawk, 1276 Timber Ridge. Don't have anything exciting to prepare for this evening. Life has been as it is. Really, truly what's left to be said. We've been at every village board meeting, every planning commission meeting, as you all know. We've provided you with much homework that we've done ourselves. On the 6/13 meeting in the same room, provided each of you with a packet referring to Kirkland Crossing, the senior living community within Pewaukee. That is located exactly 6/10 of a mile from the St. Mary's property. Nothing there has changed. They continue to be at capacity. What that means, and it can be verified, is they are working at capacity due to staffing. Again, as shared in other communications this evening, these type of facilities cannot retain the type of workers for the size of the buildings that they built. So what would then be next? Are we gonna have bus routes up Capitol Drive from Milwaukee? Are we gonna have bus routes through Highway T from Waukesha? I've been part of this to truly save St. Mary's. I don't truly care about Capri and what they wanna build. That church means the most. Spent how many years there with the Boy Scouts? I've learned who the neighbor was that they were renting to, Agape, and they're not bad people, they're good people, and they help the community. We continue to hear that Capri is going to use the facade of the church. However, in the proposals, all the materials are new and not old. I continue not to be able to wrap my head around what's real and what's not. I would like to thank Mr. Fisher for reminding me about Father Kitsky, otherwise referred to as Father $1, with Mr. Tarantino at a Q of A meeting held earlier this year, where they boasted about selling St. Rita's Church to each other. I'll sell you the property for $1, I'll sell you the church for $1, and they both pretended to pass $1 and put it in their pocket. These type of things continue to bother me. Capri preys on parishes that are in trouble, and they've found another one. Please recall Pewaukee is 4 square miles. Only 4 square miles of people vote. Mr. President, we are asking you this evening, requesting that there is a roll call vote on this subject. Thank you.
Avenue in the village of Pewaukee. Can you imagine how the people in Paris felt when Notre Dame came down in that fire? We're all adults here of some experience in life, and you know that pain, when you feel it in your body, signals that something's wrong. You've heard over the weeks and months that this Capri project is painful to the people in this community. Something's wrong. One of the things that's going to be a pain for the people in this community is, in the long run, this project is going to end up costing the people in this community more than it benefits them. That's a pain. Body politic in this village is crying out in pain. Please don't do this. It hurts, and it's going to hurt for a long time if you do it. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Well, first of all, I wouldn't want your job for anything right now. We'll start out with this pledge that we start out every evening.
Please state your name and address.
Oh, Nicholas Dominic, 504 Wisconsin. We always start out with a pledge of allegiance, and there's a phrase in there, with liberty and justice for all. Just to, remind everyone. Anyway, a couple small sentences here. Placements of this development in our low-density, single-family neighborhood also deserves consideration. Perhaps those with plans should also ask, would you like this development in your neighborhood? I just heard a comment from a gentleman that said, never about the cemetery. Many years ago, I lived in a development, a mini mall line in the neighborhood. They moved the graves. So what we're talking about, when I can understand the feelings of your loved ones, but when money enters the picture, love goes out the door. Okay, the Finance Council of Queen Apostle Congregation is having financial concerns. They should not expect the neighbors of St. Mary's Church to bail them out. We have been taught not to worship false gods, yet it seems the Financial Council has placed a considerable amount of emphasis on the money they would receive of the value of the people in the community. It's quite obvious where the interests of Queen Apostles are, and it's not with the neighborhood of St. Mary's. Thank you very much for working with the people of the village. My dad never spent much time in church, but he always reminded me, God knows what's in your heart. And there are times when you have to decide with your heart instead of your pocketbook what is right, the decision to make. So please never consider putting profits before the community.
Kathy Lozanecki, 227 Main Street. I really don't have anything to say after that, so maybe I'll just read our vision statement and our mission statement, since we don't have a new one yet. The Village of Pewaukee will foster cultural, recreational, educational, and economic opportunities while preserving the historical character of our community. That's our vision statement. Our mission statement: the Village of Pewaukee will continue to administer and implement fiscally sound policies while maintaining a quality of life for our community through effective communication and progressive and ethical leadership. Our mission will be achieved through conscious planning and redevelopment with a focus upon public safety, community services, and regional cooperation.
Nakata, West 276, North 2177, Spring Creek Drive, Pewaukee. This may be the biggest decision of your tenure on the Planning Commission and the Village Board. We have provided you with enough information with facts, figures about Capri's reputation. We also provided both the board and the commission the will of the people that live in the village, pay taxes in the village, and voted you in office. No matter what promises and propaganda Capri has given you, this is not a win for the village. If this project succeeds, you will have taken our past, our present, and our future. What do I mean by future? Our children and grandchildren will no longer be able to look at this beautiful piece of property. Instead, we will have to show them pictures and tell them about the history of St. Mary's. Instead, they're going to have to look at a massive structure that is out of place in this residential area. I personally went door to door in Park Hills, and I can tell you, people are not happy. Unfortunately, I talked to many that have given up on the village board and the planning commission. I just want to say you have a very, very tough job. I want to quote remarks from the residents. They don't listen to us. They do what they want to do. I stopped going to meetings. I'm thinking of selling my house and moving. But the one that stunned me the most and made me the most sad is a resident that said, and I quote, and I want to make sure you know these are his words and not mine. If this goes through, somebody's palms were greased. You have a choice to just say no. It's an easy word. Bring confidence back to the people that you represent. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Mall, 403 West Wisconsin Avenue. This proposed development would affect me quite a bit. I've come to these meetings before. I've expressed that I do not care for this. I have to get up at 4:30 tomorrow, so I can't come to a lot of these meetings. But I just want to give you a little first-hand knowledge I have about promises made to a community. My last name is